This top has no zipper and no give, so please pray for my lungs. Hey guys, how's it going? You good? I'm good. Welcome back to my channel. And today's arbitrary topic is makeover shows, because for some reason, maybe because pandemic and being stuck at home some more and starting a new semester, I'm feeling very nostalgic for things that I used to enjoy and have time to enjoy without feeling guilty about not being productive, much like I'm not being productive right now, but that's not the point. I really thought about the amount of time I spent watching makeover shows like on TV, especially on TLC, and how much I actually like derived joy from that, and then looking back at some of the stuff and realizing maybe how not so good the outfits were, how problematic some of the characters were, and just everything in between. So I decided I wanted to talk about it. Unfortunately, I may or may not be able to include a lot of clips just because TLC is very strict, and with how much people talk about them, like so many YouTubers end up having to take down their videos because they've had a copyright claim. And my channel isn't even monetized, but I have a feeling that they are that petty. So I'm gonna just try and avoid that. I asked a lot of people in the community tab what shows they used to watch, and I think there was a general like very popular type shows that people used to watch, like What Not to Wear, How Do I Look, and there are some more recent ones like Snog, Marry, Avoid. I think the general vibe of it was sort of like a movie come to life in movies where the girl gets like a brand new makeover, and oh my god, all of a sudden everybody loves her and she's great and she's popular, and of course that's the ideal, when in reality the person wasn't even like in desperate need of a makeover. She just needed a haircut and contact lenses, kind of that. But then the makeover show setup is such that the ordinary person can feel like that could somehow happen to you, kind of like the lotto, except in this case you're hoping that your friends will write a scathing review of your fashion to a random filming corporation, and they'll show up on your doorstep and give you $5,000 worth of clothes in exchange for you throwing out your existing wardrobe and your dignity. Let's talk about that for a second. The whole show up at your doorstep thing, or some people, to give us a backstory of what the person does. Like, I think there was one episode of What Not to Wear where the woman was a firefighter and they just show up. Like, what if someone's house is burning and you are all there just filming? Just imagine it. The phone is going off in the back and they're all like there posing for the pics. Like, I'm sure there was someone in the back, but in my mind it's just like, and they're there and someone's house is literally burning, and then they're just here like, hey, I'm Stacey London and whatever the other guy's name was, and we're here to give you some free clothes, yay, oh my god. And someone else says somewhere like, oh my god, all my life savings, my home, my baby photos. Like, I know it was obviously planned and there were loads of NDAs, loads of signing off of things before people showed up, and as much as I get that we're supposed to feel like this is a sudden thing sudden good thing that's happening for this person, I mean, come on. Realistically, especially with most of these shows being in the US, your boss is not just gonna magically be okay with someone coming in the middle of your shift and whisking you away on a shopping spree. I mean, with how they even treat actual like illness and people needing to take time off. Imagine just being like, hey boss, I would like to take some time off because TLC is buying me clothes and I need to leave. And they're just supposed to be like, okay, I guess we can get another midwife. And then I've spent too much time on that thought. I'm very sorry. Another thing about these shows as I look back on them is just like some of the style tip, maybe because it was a different time. I don't remember how exactly things were because my memory is horrible, but some of the style tips just seem very basic to me. Like, one that I remember very vividly was, oh, every woman needs a little back dress in their wardrobe, which it is a practical piece of clothing to have, but the way they said it, like it was the holy grail of fashion. Like, if you didn't want to have a little black dress in your wardrobe, or if you didn't have one, it was like sin, and it was like, oh my god, how do you not have one? And another thing that was like really the it thing from like '08 to maybe 2012 was figure belts. Like, just have a regular outfit and slap a figure belt on it. I had a figure belt that I really liked to do that with for the longest time, and now that I think about it, what figure was I figure belting? I'm still very much the same shape as I was then, and I can't see just hanging a belt in the middle of nowhere on like where it's not supposed to go. Like belts are for buckled areas like jeans or maybe on some dresses, but it didn't make sense. And then there were the times when a person who clearly has an aesthetic that they enjoy, like this Lolita episode that I think the Stitches did a video about, but this person clearly had an aesthetic that they were aspiring to and they just weren't doing it very well. And instead of Stacey London and whatever that other guy's name was actually helping her take steps to like dress in a way that would probably still be in her comfort zone but in a better, like with better execution, and they just straight up went, the way you dress is weird, you dress like a doll, this is horrendous. And then they just stuck her in these corporate America clothes, even though she was a firefighter and would probably never have actual practical use for those clothes, and they should have just given her better casual wear for when she's not out saving lives. They would tout this like corporate, and as I've recently found out, it was these shows would be sponsored by certain brands who stock certain clothing, so they would just end up essentially recreating the same outfits for people with different personalities and different body types and just sort of slotting them in and making them these almost styleless robots. And I think it's worth noting that Stacey London, one of the hosts of one of the shows that I used to really like, has now said that she regrets taking part in the show and wouldn't do it now just because of how horrendous they would treat people on the show. I think that's good. That's her little like turnaround story, but how many people have actually gone away from the show still and internalized whatever? Because if you think of like the bad stuff and the choppy editing that made characters, people seem like these negative characters, like how much actually transpired behind the scenes and how much did people put up with because maybe they've signed NDAs and they can't get out of the contract and they just have to again sacrifice their dignity, as I said before. And is your dignity really worth exchanging for a $5,000 wardrobe? I don't think so. And then getting on to the topic of wardrobes, $5,000 spent in, like I've said, mostly the stores that are sponsoring the show. So no thrifting, no tailored stuff like so that someone, because there are some clothes which do make sense for people who have different body types to go and get tailored, like a coat that you're gonna keep for a very long time, or the staple little black dress. Then the whole throwing out your closet thing, I am aware that they did donate some of that stuff, but the whole donate at once, like imagine donating the massive clothes that someone has been curating for like 25-35 years, how many clothes those are, and thinking realistically, if they're gonna go and dump those into one store, how much of that is gonna get sold versus if the person had sold and gotten rid of it gradually. Although it is worth noting that I guess at the time when these shows were airing, thrifting wasn't very popular and buying stuff from resale wasn't very popular, but that is still part of the problem because they were sort of creating this consumerist mindset in the people that they were supposedly helping that, hey, it's okay to get into credit card debt so you can get these shoes because they're in fashion. Are there any cases of people who've actually been reported to have gotten into debt because of the show? No, but are there possibilities of people who were viewing the show who were then buying every single thing that they saw on the show that was being recommended because they thought it was cool? Probably, very likely. Even the fact that like spending $5,000 on clothes in the span of maybe 2 days of a show, how do you decide? I personally have, after having to buy something, I have fatigue because I'm tired, and ever since coming here and seeing what malls are actually like, they are huge, and why would you want to walk through them? And if it's online shopping, then I am tired because my eyes are tired and I don't want to keep looking at the screen. And when it's before, I am anxious because what if I make this purchase and it is the wrong thing? And it would happen on the show where they're like, oh, you've bought this, well, it's not really good for you, it's not really a good fit, and they just don't, they obviously don't have enough runtime to show us the returns process. But I would love to see them actually teaching someone the benefits of curating a wardrobe long time versus following these random trends that they've shown you in that moment and expecting you to keep them up for whatever. But yeah, I don't feel like it was necessarily them being like, we're teaching you these skills that are gonna be helpful for you forever. It was just like, this is the clothing that is trending now, this is the clothing that we are being sponsored for you to wear, and go with it. Does that make sense? Am I being too critical? I mean, it was still enjoyable. It was still the bit of like I remember all the time hypothesizing and like fantasizing, being like, oh, can you just take random pictures of me in my sweatpants and email them and be like, hey, this person needs your help or something. But obviously I was a kid and they had no incentive to help me out. Then another thing that I've like come across while looking at these old videos of the shows is like things and people who were considered weird wearing things that are actually now trendy. Like there's this clip of a woman on the Oprah show. Well, a woman, she was a girl at the time, I think she was a teenager, and her mother had submitted her to be helped on the Oprah show. She had like green hair and a nose piercing and maybe wore a few slightly revealing crop tops, but then when you look at what she was actually wearing, it's what teenagers wear now. And I'm just like, she was setting trends. Like, I hope she sees that now and sees what kids are wearing now, and she's like, I paved the way. I walked so you could run. I crawled so you could fly. Because how strange is it that they were mocking her and calling her weird for having green hair, but now every single pop star and their fans has green hair, and it's like no big deal. I mean, sure, there are probably some people who find it a bit jarring, but maybe they're just living under a rock, I don't know. But overall, I think I would get that sort of enjoyment from stuff like lifestyle content or people who do outfit content. Now I don't need to watch that sort of reality show, especially because of the almost mass production and fake way about it, whereas now you get to know a person and you get to see their style develop online and you get to learn tips. It's because of the close connection feel of YouTube and stuff that makes you feel like you're talking to a real person, and it's not just a corporation secretly trying to encourage you to buy stuff, even though that's mostly what most of the internet is anyway, but not me, not right now. Anyway, I think for the time it was enjoyable, it was good to watch. Now maybe not so much. Now I would be just there cringing and thinking too critically of everything and everything everyone says, and I would get too in my head and I wouldn't enjoy it, because I feel like I do that with a lot of things now. I just wanted to have a little ramble about it. Let me know what your favorite makeup shows were, what your thoughts are on this, and would you like to see me have a little makeover segment? I technically have, because for the past 2 weeks I've just been slobbing around the house and I haven't really put on anything more than like a fleece and sweatpants, and I actually got dressed up for this video because I like you guys and I want you to see me in my best self. Although I am filming this at 4 a.m, so I don't know if that's entirely accurate, but you get what I mean. But if you've somehow enjoyed this video and stuck around and watched this long, thank you so much. That's really appreciated. Make sure you like and subscribe if you haven't, and share this video with your friends, because apparently YouTube likes that now. Stay tuned and I will see you next time.